Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Gen Z Hoops podcast. Today, I'm joined by the Senior Director of Basketball Operations and Assistant General Manager of Sioux Falls Skyforce, Mr. Dave Beyer. Mr. Beyer, thank you so much for this opportunity today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, no, thank you so much. But let's jump right into it. So you've been with the Miami Heat organization for over 2 decades now, an incredible run in one of the NBA's most premier and respected organizations. So take me back to the year 2002. What basically drew you to the Heat, and how did that first video room internship come about?
Well, I got very lucky, and to go all the way back there, I will say this. I graduated from Concordia University, Wisconsin in 2001. I played baseball there, so I wasn't really considered a basketball person, even though I always understood the game, not to the professional level as it is, and that came in with the video room, which we'll get into. It took me about 1 year to really get my foot in the door full time with a NBA team, which was the Miami Heat. I started off with the Milwaukee Bucks in '98 as a game day intern. I would come in, record games for Jim Paschke, the Milwaukee Bucks broadcaster at the time, and just log highlights for him and the NBA entertainment. From there, I asked the video coordinator of the Milwaukee Bucks at the time, Bob Peterson, what do you do? I see you in here at this computer, just, logging everything. And he told me what he did. Then he started teaching me how to do things. The next thing I know, I was in their video room breaking some film down when they needed help with just stuff, just offense, defense, wasn't coding anything play wise yet. And from there, I became part-time with the Milwaukee Bucks. And Larry Harris received a phone call from the Miami Heat. I believe it was from Jordan Cohn, who was kind of like the first person in analytics for the Miami Heat and pretty much across the board at that time. And they were looking for a video room intern, and Larry recommended me. And I got a call from the Heat, talked with them, and it sounded like I had a good shot at it. I went back to the Bucks and told them, and the Milwaukee Bucks told me to turn it down. They want to hire me full time. I was ecstatic. Hey, I'm gonna get a full-time job with the Milwaukee Bucks, my hometown team. Couldn't be happier, right? Well, this was supposed to all happen at the end of the 2001, 2002 Milwaukee Bucks. And it never happened. The Bucks had a major fall out with everyone. Their record, they dropped. They were like 35 and 25 at early March, and they ended that season 41 and 41 and missed the playoffs. It was a very hard drop. We won't get into reasons why, though. But so nothing happened. The Milwaukee Bucks never hired me. I went back into Larry Harris after that season, talked to him. He made a call down to Miami, got my foot in the door for an interview with them, flew down to Miami for an interview, and then was offered a video room internship along with another individual, Pat Delaney, who is assistant coach with the Toronto Raptors now. And then from there, it was just understanding, okay, I played baseball. They're going to view me as that. I know where I stand. So I have to show it with my work ethic and then learn the game as we go at the NBA level. And I started doing that more and more. And the video room was the best thing for me because at first the games were very fast for me and all that at the NBA level. By the end of that, my video room intern year, the games were slowing down. I was able to see plays, the first actions, all that. And that's where Eric Spoelstra came in. He's the assistant coach at the time. And he really wants to see people succeed in this business, whether it's with the Heat or somewhere else. He wants to help catapult your career to the next step. And he did that for me. Take me to the side, teach me how to diagram, teach me what to look for, how to film, what Pat Riley, what the coaching staff looks for, attention to detail. Every little thing matters, being professional, high character, everything. Without Eric Spoelstra, I would not be in this position where I am now.
So early on, you talked about breaking down film. What would you guys use, like a synergy or a sports code back then? How did it work?
The system, I believe it was called Leech.
Leech, okay.
It was, and we were going deck to deck at first with record. Well, you had 2 controllers in your hand, and you play one and then record them. So you'd watch the game, go on offense. If I was doing offense or Pat was doing defense, you'd have to watch the game, see the offensive play, rewind it to a certain spot, hit record on the other one, hit play, and then you're recording it. And you're just going back and forth, deck to deck. Obviously, back then we were used to it, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. But the technology they have now has made everything a lot easier in the video room.
I know, I totally agree. Like I asked that question because a lot of coaches I've had in the past, they show me how they break down like different actions and different games on sports code. Even my college coaches over here at Hobart, we use Synergy and then they create these like big long playlists and the scout is like really extensive. So I just wanted to
We use a lot. We have Synergy. We use Huddle. We use a lot of different stuff. Yeah.
So
So
let's
everything.
take let's keep moving along. So you started as an assistant to the coaches and moved through several operation roles as well. So basketball staff coordinator, operations coordinator, and now senior director. How has the structure and culture of the Miami Heat basically evolved over the years in the organization?
I wouldn't say it evolved. I'd say it stays the same. Obviously, the players, the generations change as you go through, right? The game has changed. Our philosophy, our culture has not changed. It's always been, you know, the hardest working, best conditioned, most professional, unselfish, toughest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA. And that's an organizational thing, whether you're on the basketball side, arena side, or business side. Um, you live by it. It's an organizational standard, right? No matter what. Um, with that said, I would say, yeah, we'd have to, the way you talk to players and all that stuff, it's changed. You can't coach how you coached back in the day. You can't
Right.
do all that stuff. It's a lot different. But I think Coach Spo has handled everything pretty well with that.
So I've heard different stories go through about old school philosophies and new school philosophies. I recall Hassan Whiteside talking about his first workout with the Heat when Pat Riley was making him slap the top of the backboard. So from your perspective in player development, how would you say it has evolved in today's NBA?
With there's the work ethic or workouts,
I want to
or
say let's I want to say workouts, let's say.
I would say they're shorter. Um, our training camps are not like the training camps they used to be, where you would
Right.
have
Yeah.
3 hour session. It would be a legit 3 hour session in the morning, come back through, do a walkthrough. Where it's just all run and run. It was physical. It was, I remember Keith Askins telling me, and Keith played with the Heat in the early 90s and all
Mhm.
that stuff, Alonzo Mourning and all that. They would tell me stories like in that locker room, they would tell people like, "Hey, who's going to quit today in practice? You're not going to make it, are you?" So they challenge each other and embrace the challenge to make it through practice. And then they also stated when games came, that was like a day off for them. Like that was like the games were so much easier because they're in phenomenal shape because of what Coach Riley has done with them. Got them in world-class shape. Like they just said the games were like days off.
So you witnessed this organization go through different eras. So like the Wade and Shaq era, the Big Three era with LeBron, and now today's gritty and player development driven team with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo at the helm. What basically stands out to you most about how the organization has adapted through those different chapters?
I would say understanding the player, who they are, personally, growing a relationship with them, but also understanding where they are in their profession, where they are in their game, and how can we take it to the next level. And then slowly but surely, like start pushing them to become the best version of themselves, get the most out of them. With Tyler, he had an all-star year last year. This year, unfortunately, been plagued by a few injuries and all that. But he's still putting in the work. So the work ethic and all that with these players, I think, remain the same. It's different work than what it was. It's, you have more people on staff now too. Back then you didn't have a nutritionist. You
Right.
may have one strength coach, maybe one, maybe two trainers at the time. Now, teams have a whole staff of trainers, nutritionists, 2 to 3 or maybe even more strength and conditioning coaches working with these guys. These guys may have their own people. But everything that they're doing is engineered to get them to become the best they can on the court and even off the court.
So let's talk from a behind the scenes point of view. What is, as you know, like the NBA, a lot of teams like want to go hunt for like a whale or like go after star players all the time. But there are also teams that go through different phases like rebuilding, deal like enjoying what they have right now. So what is it like navigating the transition from like such a star-driven roster to a system built around development and youth, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when we had our team, the big three, or even back when he said the Wade, Shaq era, those teams were awesome. It was always awesome when D Wade was on your team because you had a player that could will you to a win. It's the same with other plays that we had. Right now, it's a collective unit. We have to win as a unit, all that stuff. But you're asking me for the difference.
Yeah, like the difference between the two.
I say there's a big difference. And back then it was more post up, inside out type of game. Now
Right.
it's with our offense, how it's run. I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's
I love it.
yeah, it's high octane. But yeah, every player is skilled enough to get their own shot off. But it evolved with, I think, just the player in itself and how Spo's running it. We're one of the teams that are doing this with I think another organization, Memphis, tried it last year. This year we're doing it to a pretty good degree. But I think we have guys on our team that can really flourish in this offense. Look at Jaime Jaquez.
Yeah.
Last year, this year, he's been tremendous in this offense.
Mhm.
So do
No,
they?
I totally agree. Like whenever I watch the Heat games, especially to start the season, I believe they were number one in pace, number one in scoring, and then they were like a top three defense in the league as well when at full strength. But I love this year's offense a lot more, and I'll tell you why. The more I watch NBA games, it's like pick and roll after pick and roll, drag ball screen after drag ball screen. I like how those players on the Heat now, it's like rip and go. A guy's getting to his wide out, like it's wide open space. If pass and cut through, it's like a really like old school like motion offense that you would see at like a lot of like running gun colleges.
You have the ball movement, you have player movement, you have everything. Like when D Wade was there, it was more isolation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
D Wade or you're gonna play off Shaq. And now everyone is involved somehow. Either, you're making that cut, trying to take that other
Mhm.
defender with that or a passing angle for someone else. So it's more of a team game, more and even when D Wade came back, when he was with Cleveland, made the trade, bring
Yep.
him back. We spoke put a new offense in there now. It was more about the team and all that. We didn't have that one guy back then. And then D Wade came back. I know he said he had to adjust himself because when he was first here, it was a lot of, ball was in his hands playing
Right.
off, and he had to learn the whole new offense.
I also love the continuity. So you see guys like, as you mentioned before, Jaime Jaquez, he's having a career year. Could be like a six man of the year candidate if I'm not mistaken. Nikola Jovic as well. He gets to space the floor with his shooting ability. But I also like how Norm, he is an all-star now, and he kind of gets to like isolate and like play his game as well as what we saw last year on the Clippers. So that's really cool to see as well.
Norm was a great addition for us, right? He came over here. Unfortunately, you always have to give up something. We have two guys that we really like and enjoyed here, but Norm has fit in pretty well and has bought into our Heat culture, if you will. And he was all about it from day one. Spo sent him a text, like just a picture of D Wade, his weight and body fat, and told him where D Wade was in weight and body fat at Norm's age, I believe. And Norm took it as a sign, like, okay, I'm gonna get it going. I can read the subliminal message in here, So he bought in, and it's paying off. He's probably in the best shape of his career, possibly. I don't know that for a fact, but and he became an all-star, right? So optimal, world-class shape, and he's an all-star. So he's having a career year for himself. So
So, so as the assistant general manager for the Sioux Falls Skyforce, how do you balance dual roles and responsibilities between the Heat and the G League affiliate as well?
just time management. Obviously, you're never off the clock, especially with cell phones and all that. If something has to be done, someone's going to call you, or you need to call someone else. But it's not too bad to have a dual role like that, right? Because our Skyforce team, we're in Sioux Falls, we're in Miami, so we are kind of separated. So, my main focus is the Miami Heat work, and then I'll go into Skyforce work. We have a bunch of staff in Sioux Falls that are on the ground that are able to take care of things. If they have any questions, they know they can call myself, Eric Amsler, Adam Simon, or whomever else that needs to be get in touch with. But it's just a manage of time management, your work management, try and, stay on top of everything, see what's going on, make calls, check in with people. Hey, how are you doing? How did this go? What do you think about this? Get feedback and go from there.
So as we talked about previously before the recording started, the G League, it really has become such a focal point and major like developmental pipeline for players, coaches, and staff around the NBA. So can you talk a little about how that evolution has changed how the Miami Heat approach player development and scouting as well?
I mean, I think from when it was the D League to the G League and what teams are able to do with Exhibit 10 contracts and two-way players, I think it's a great, and even rookies coming in, first or second round picks. I think the G League is a great tool for any NBA team to have. Just like as you said, for player development, learning the game, learning our system, as we want to have a mirror image what we do here in Miami and what we do out in the Sioux Falls. And sometimes it's easier when you get, like right now we have Dan Bisaccio as our head coach. He's been with for at least a minimum of 10 years. And so he knows the Heat culture. He knows how Spo operates. He knows what Spo wants. So it's a little easier with him. Okay, he knows exactly what we're doing. If we have someone that we hire from the outside in, we kind of have to teach him, right? It's a little different, what we can. But for player wise, if someone goes down there, we expect them to perform, get them reps, in-game reps, practice, everything. If they're not getting minutes, consistent minutes here with the Heat, we want them to go down there and play. Like Shad Johnson was just down there right before All-Star break, playing in 2 games. Got tremendous minutes. I mean, he has improved, as we talked prior. His three-point shooting has improved. He's athletic. He's on his way. He's going to make it. We sent our rookie down there, Cass, and
Yep.
he's in the rotation. Like it all helps. It benefits. It builds confidence, right? So, and then you just keep building from there.
So what is the process like when identifying players who might be Miami Heat material, like both on the court and from a culture standpoint as well?
I think, Adam Simon and his staff, they do a great job of identifying those type of players. You look at our roster now, they're all hardworking. They get after it. But yeah, it's one of those that you just look for people, and I'm sure every organization look for people that fit their DNA, their culture, whatever they're looking for. Obviously, if you can, like you said, get a whale, you're going to try and get a whale. But other than that, you want to have a competitive team. We want to make the playoffs. We don't just talk about playoffs here. We always talk about, how can we contend for a championship? And you just build off that. With that said, I think you're looking at guys that just play hard. We've had guys go undrafted that have really panned out for us. In the past, and part of that was using the G League. We can go back to guys like Drew Smith, who's on our roster now. Drew Smith's first year in the G League, he was battling a few injuries or whatever, so he was a little limited. And then all of a sudden, we didn't know how he would come back. He came back in great shape. He's a very intelligent player. He has created a nice niche for himself as a defender and high IQ ball handler and just overall basketball player. And he is a legit contributor for us. So he's very trusted by Coach Spoelstra. And if you go back even farther, we can even talk about Rodney McGruder.
Yep.
He was waived in the G League by, I believe, Maine back in the day. We ended up picking him up, and he has flourished. He made a whole career out of him. And Dan Craig, the head coach at the time, said he never called a play for Rodney McGruder in the G League. He was just that smart, knew where to be, knew how to get to his spots, knew how to get open, knew everything. And he just kept elevating himself. And finally, no one could miss it. It was like, okay, let's give him a shot. And he made a great NBA career for himself.
So I know a couple of weeks ago, Kasparas Yakuchonis had a huge game recently. I think he went like, what was it, like 6 of 6 from three on the main roster. So can you describe what that feeling is like when you see those players coming from your program down in Sioux Falls make such a big impact on the Heat roster?
It's awesome. It solidifies your selection in the draft, right? I think Adam Simon, his staff did a great job identifying him as the guy that they wanted and were targeting at that spot. But yeah, with him putting in the reps and all that stuff in the G League, and then we're thinking Cass will probably be in the G League more than the NBA team, right? And now all of a sudden he's playing a pivotal role with our Heat team. So it's always great to see that and that success, and we're always going to enjoy it. Everyone from top down will enjoys that success. And we know it started with the Skyforce, getting those reps, getting that playing time. And he was a willing learner. He was willing to go down there and do his thing and play, be a great teammate down there, and it carried over up here.
So I know you talked about balancing both roles and all the rigorous travel, etc. But let's say we're post trade deadline right now, post All-Star weekend. So during that time, take me a couple weeks back now, just out of my own curiosity as well. What does a typical day look like for someone in your role during, let's say, like the trade deadline right before All-Star weekend, especially balancing like roster management, logistics, team strategy, things of that sort?
And you just come in, how we do it, you just come in, you keep doing your role. I'm in the need to know when I need to know, right? So it's the top brass that are talking and all making the calls, all that. And then, if something's going to come up, Andy will call myself, one of our legal counsels in, go over like, hey, this is what we possibly might be doing. Can you get the stuff prepared, whatever. But more so than that, I mean, you're just available no matter what. You want to make their job easier with what they may need, what they may request. So you have to be available. But you just continue doing your work day in, day out, leading up to that. And if there's a trade that's going to happen, they'll let you know. And then you just start cranking away out at all the paperwork that needs to be done, all the legal things that have to be done. And, there are steps to it, how we go about it. I won't get into all of them.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, there's certain people that are in the know right away. And then there's certain other people like myself that, okay, when it's my turn to know, they'll let me know if something has to be done. Andy will contact me or Coach Riley with, okay, can you start this, for this player, all that.
So you mentioned individuals like Andy Elisburg and Adam Simon. So you worked alongside them for years in the front office. What have you learned from collaborating with some of the best minds in basketball operations?
I think strategy wise, how they may see things. I think both of them challenge myself as others, where you think you've hit, like you got the answer or you can't do it. And then, they'll say, well, have you thought about doing it this way? Or why that way? Or why can't we do it? And they get you to think to another level. They get you to another level of thinking and say, you know what, you're right. Let me try it this way. Let me try, So there's always a solution. Just learn, being better, strategizing at everything, and pushing you. They want the best for you too. They want you to, elevate your game. They want to help you get to that next level as well. So just li- not even talking to certain individuals at our organization, like Coach Fry, we don't talk every day. I mean, I talk to Andy every day or Adam, but just being in that place and being able to observe, you're able to pick up how they carry themselves, how they go about being professional, how they go about how they went about their work and everything. How do they get to their spots? And you just kind of pick and choose and see what they say do, and you take bits and pieces from each one and more.
So looking back, was there ever a pivotal moment or one moment that comes to mind that actually shaped your career and maybe at times when things don't go as planned, like led to your growth into who you are right now?
I would say when I was assistant to the coaches, I was coming not to a crossroads, but I had to make a decision, and Coach Riley called me in for an impromptu meeting. He had no idea this was going to happen that day, and said, "We never really talked. What do you ultimately want to do?" And at the time, people were always saying, "I want to become assistant coach. I want to become that." And I was on the coaching side at the time, assistant to the coaches, and I told him I'd like to be a GM one day, and he loved it. And he said, "Okay, well, this is what I'll do. If I need you to write up some scouting reports, and if they're good enough, I will move you over to the front office scouting side." So, okay, cool. I'll be right back. He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I have them done already." So I went back to my desk, gave him this however many scouting reports I had done, and he read through them. And then I don't know the duration after that. And then he came down and said, "All right, I'm going to move you over to the front office." I like that. It's the scouting report. So I would say that, but also even prior to that, it was assistant coaches. Andy Elisburg was giving me work to do too. He was delegating some of his work. And if you know Andy, he doesn't, back in the day, he was not like a good, he did not like to delegate anything, right? So I was earning his trust, and he was delegating some work to me. And I found myself being more called to his side, doing what he does, right? Salary cap, some administrative stuff, some other things. And that piqued my interest a little bit more, and it kept going, going, going. I had a meeting with Spo and all this stuff, and Spo helped me, get over there as well, and scouting reports and everything else.
So at that point, when Powell told you to make up all those scouting reports, what was your strategy to make those reports?
I just wanted to have it just to have, just in case a day like that would ever happen. And also, I think it was great practice for myself. And then Spo, I would give Spo some scouting reports to read. He may like some, he may not like some, but it was more practice for myself. And by that time, when I wrote those for Coach Riley, I think it was a 2008 draft personnel I was doing just on my own accord. And by that summer, I felt pretty confident in my writing and what I was seeing.
When you look back at all your experiences and you want to give advice to someone who is looking to break into the sports industry, what advice would you give them?
Once you get your foot in the door, the best advice I got when this was from Jim Pesci when I was a Milwaukee Bucks game night intern was you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more than you talk. Right. So you're not going to know everything coming in. You're not going to be a basketball expert. You're not going to be the head coach or the GM, within 5 years. Do the work, show your work ethic. First and foremost, that you know how to do the job, that you can do even the minuscule things, making a photocopy, doing all that type of stuff, and do it with a great attitude. That's one thing Spo always taught us back in the day. Do stuff with a great attitude. Whether it's even going to get dry cleaning. I used to have to go get Coach Riley's coffee every morning. Go to Starbucks, stop on the way in, and then bring it to him every morning. That's what I would do. Never complain about it or anything, and just did it. But I just do stuff with a great attitude, and then keep that great energy and attitude going forward. But show that you can do the work, and you're going to earn more trust that way. If you can do the work, do it well, and then just keep growing, keep learning, be a sponge. Spo always says have a growth mindset. And I think I tell my kid, my son Brady,
Yep.
I tell USC now, he's doing everything. He's student manager for football and basketball, and he's learning a lot. So I just tell him, have a growth mindset. So he's already ahead of the curve at that age than what I was.
So as you look ahead, what excites you most about the future of the Miami Heat, the future of the Skyforce, and basketball operations as a whole?
Well, the future of the Heat is just building another championship team. That's our goal. It's fun to be a part of. I may not have the ultimate, I don't have the ultimate say or anything, but just to be a contributor to that in any way, shape, or form will make me happy. And I would get enjoyment out of that. With the Skyforce, same thing. We won the last D-League championship in 2000, right? That team was stacked. That's wins best record. And then your other question was for me for basketball ops.
Yep.
Just growing. Hopefully hit my goal, hopefully get to my next step and all that stuff. And just keep growing and learning and just keep going. Like with the Miami Heat, I've been there for 24 years. As you mentioned, I've been there for 2 decades. But you also have to have patience with that, right? So there's organizations that you see are hiring these younger GMs and they're doing great. And then you sit back, you're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? But you're not doing anything wrong. You're in a perfect spot. I talk to other colleagues. You don't know how lucky you have it, being where I am. I'm in a great spot. I'm with a great organization. There's great leadership above me I can learn from and, and absorb everything. And I can hopefully when it's my turn, be ready to go.
Totally agree. Well, Mr. Beyer, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And I wish you the best of luck with this season.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me, Ashton.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.